Guard, Lieutenant Worf. You step into my Readier Room, please, and bring a tricorder with you.
Hi, Captain. What do you make of this? I am puzzled, sir. The only detectable bioelectrical symbols are your own. You did not know. I did not.
Hello and welcome to the Readier Room, the only and longest running Star Trek The Next Generation rewatch podcast. Every week of the year, we're rewatching an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation and bringing you all the behind-the-scenes stories that made the magic happen. My name is Mitchell Mells, Chief Consultant of Services at Paramount, and with me is my life partner, Brandon Hobbs, ex-head of Resources Management. Brandon, how you doing?
Doing well. The job hunt continues, but we have been having some real fun the past week.
Yeah, it's been a really fun week, I think.
With a little piece of software called OpenAI.
Right.
In which we concoct various pieces of Star Trek fan fiction.
Right. It's a novel little toy. You type in whatever you want it to give you, and the little man inside your computer just types out a little story for you. Yeah,
and this is the first time we've actually been able to initiate real communication with that little guy.
Right. Usually, it's kind of a form of divination trying to get through to him.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's very
explicit. They're usually Chinese, so it's pretty difficult to understand them. Obviously, unless you speak Chinese.
I don't speak Chinese.
No, neither do I. That's probably why Chinese people are so smart, because they get to talk to their computers so directly, right?
Yeah, we should build computers with little English-speaking guys in there.
Yeah, but that totally messes up production costs and everything.
I guess the computers have to be bigger to accommodate the higher average height.
Yeah. Well, and we also don't have a subset of the Western population that's a centimeter tall.
That's true. We should breed them more effectively.
We should, yeah. I don't know how the Chinese did it, having their own race of pygmies.
Before we get into this, what's your opinion on selective breeding?
For dogs?
For people, dogs, whatever.
For people. Well, I mean,
there's got to be a trait that you've looked at and said, "Man, I wish we could breed this out."
Oh, 100%. I mean, I do look at women, for example, and I think like when I'm looking at a woman,
you just breed out all women.
When I'm looking at a woman, I will kind of like eye her up and down and be like, okay, what about you do I want to pass on to my kids, and what do I not? Mm-hmm. And if one out, if the negatives outweigh the positives, it's like I can't,
Well, we call
She's
that
too short.
We call that being forward thinking.
Yeah. But that is quote selective breeding, right? Now the issue comes when you're breeding like shit like pugs.
Wait, you call yourself the issue?
I didn't say that at all.
You said the issue comes.
The issue is with breeding things like pugs and stuff, where they're just constantly suffering.
Yeah, you bred its face to not function, and it has to, breathe through a hole that's covered up by its own fucking disgusting flaps.
Which, wouldn't you know, who's at fault here? Women. Right?
Women bred the pugs.
They didn't breed them, but they're in the market for them. They're like, oh, I need my chunkin' little heckin' flat-faced pupperino, So
it's not enough that I should be happy; another being should suffer.
Yeah. Well, that is how most women work.
Do you know what pug is short for?
Is this like a chud situation?
Well, what's chud short for?
Well, I actually don't know. All I know is it's the movie CHUD chud.
No, I've never. Is this like a jarhead thing?
What's a jarhead thing?
That's like a military film.
No, it's about like monsters that live in the sewer. I've never watched it. But it's what do you call it when every letter stands for something?
It's an acronym.
Acronym, that's it. Yeah.
Not
Is
to be
pug an
confused.
acronym?
Not to be confused with a backronym.
Is it like an Indian phrase?
No, a backronym is like when something retroactively becomes an acronym.
Oh my! Is this a TV tropes thing?
No, but it is kind of on that level, isn't it?
Have I ever told you about the word prepone?
Prepone? No.
Yeah,
Postpone?
it's a
Prepone?
word that only Indians use,
Okay. Is it?
and
is
I'm
it,
sure you can imagine what it means.
is it part of their language?
Well, it's Indian English.
I see. In English.
In
I'm
English.
trying to think of it an opposite of postpone, obviously, but nothing's really coming to mind.
Well, yeah. So when you let's say you postpone a meeting. Right?
Oh, you move it back, so prepone is to move it forward.
Yeah. Words can't describe how much I am sickened by Indian English.
How
It is just
how much
the
do you have
most-
to put up
it's-
with it?
a lot,
Oh.
lot. It's cowardly. It's completely offensive to the English language itself. And it really just shows you what kind of people. Never mind. We're delving into hate speech territory.
All right, so
Um,
retracing our tracks, Pug is short for Pugsley. Moving back from that, selective breeding, which I think is where we were at. Something about
how many pugs do you think are named Pugsley?
a
There's
non
got to be like an infinite number of them.
yeah, certainly non-insignificant percentage of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Same,
Anyway, yeah.
same thing as that fat kid from the Addams Family.
Yep.
Now he was a real pug
he was a pug.
in appearance and demeanor.
Selective breeding. So what deeper topic do you want to touch on here with this?
You brought up selective breeding. No, I did. All I was saying is was there any trait that you wanted to selectively breed out of the human race?
The human race.
Yeah.
Thin upper lips.
That's a good one. I would say thin hair.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Well, you would.
not necessarily like balding, like thinning of hair, but rather people
But
who are like women,
Yeah.
men who are just born with thin hair.
Yeah, I've got. I think hair is probably one of the like top 3 things that really gets me going.
Yeah.
Which might sound weird, but I really appreciate a nice long head of hair.
What's the first two? A blowjob and a hand job?
Definitely neither of those.
What?
What?
You've always praised my handiwork.
Well, that's what makes you special. Why do you think I've stuck around for so long?
I see. You see, it's a little, it's the twisting of the knob that I add that makes it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean,
A cosmic
and
experience.
you don't just meet the average person. You know, sometimes they manage to sneak a little teeth into the blowjob, but yeah, you're a master.
Well, I mean, in my advanced stage, I can just take them out now.
But
Give you a gum job.
yeah, I that's probably really nice actually.
Right.
Um,
It's like a massage for your penis.
Right. The thin hair I definitely get. Like when you're grabbing that like a head of hair and it's like thin, it's almost like ugh,
Right.
you know?
It also just, when you're looking at somebody, it just like lays flat on their face, and it just doesn't look like really much of anything. It doesn't add to anything.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. Well, women can do a decent job of like fluffing it up and giving it volume or whatever.
A number of them just end up looking like Droopy Dog.
I've had encounters with women who have been very successful at hiding their thin hair until the morning after,
And then you start vomiting.
and then I jump out of bed and do like a Scooby Doo run in midair.
Right. It's I was so eager to contribute, I was caught off guard by that.
But the thin upper lip is probably the most disgusting trait on a human being ever. I actually had a nightmare the other day that I woke up and had a thin upper lip.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you did you make it back to sleep, or were you just so perturbed by the possibility?
Well, so I no, I mean, like, so in the dream I had woken up one morning and looked in the mirror and I had a thin upper lip, and then I woke up in real life and all I could think of was like, thank God. I was so relieved. There's nothing better than having a terrible, awful thing happen in a dream, and then you wake up and you're like, oh my God, it wasn't real. Thank God.
Yeah, I get that often when I wake up and discover that my body isn't riddled with, black holes that abscess into nothing.
That you see stuffed bananas into, and
well,
yeah, where was I going with
I'm looking
this?
up pictures of thin upper lips right now. It's
They're gross.
it is gross.
Like, nothing makes a person more unattractive than a thin upper lip. Now, the thing is, and I've noticed this, you never can really trust someone who has a thin upper lip.
It's like men with one arm. You just can't trust them. They're always ripe for betraying you.
Or midgets who speak backwards.
Yes, people who hold burning playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
What's really getting me though is that I'm still on this. I'm sorry. I'm in this Google image search for thin upper lips. It's a lot of like retards with maybe a less thin or more thin than average upper lip. Like, oh my God, my upper lip's so thin. What do I do about it? And then you go to the next picture and it's like actually somebody with a non-existent upper lip. It's so thin.
Right.
And
There's varying degrees of thin upper lips, but you can tell. You know what I mean? It's like someone has a thing, you can tell.
Now, how do you feel about stiff upper lips?
I was actually just going to bring that up.
Yeah. We spend too much time together.
I know.
Why have a podcast hosted by two people when they're the same person?
I think we disagree enough.
Sure, on things that don't matter, like Star Trek.
Right.
But on things that do matter, like topics of conversation, we're just echoing.
We just kind of agree with each other.
Yeah.
So, what you wanted to talk about a certain Tom Hanks movie?
I finished Saving Private Ryan. I am happy to report they got him. They saved him.
They saved him?
They saved him. They saved Private Ryan.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really need to say why Saving Private Ryan's a good movie. I think its reputation speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say you saw it or you didn't see it?
No, I've never seen it. I don't really watch Tom Hanks movies.
Now, that's like a subgenre unto itself. They're all just... It's like a Tom Clancy novel.
Yeah, kinda.
But with, I don't know, more talent behind it, because Tom Hanks is a good actor.
He's a good actor, but there's something off-putting about him.
To me. People always refer to him as an everyman, and part of that is looking like a wet cardboard box.
He's a schlub.
Right. I don't understand how he ever was like a romantic leading man. Like, who wants to...
I know, that's crazy.
Who wants to fantasize about, getting it stuck in by Tom Hanks?
Even Seagal is more attractive than him.
Yeah, and that's saying something.
Seriously. It's weird because he's just like... Tom Hanks isn't ugly, but he's so mundane.
He's not. I wouldn't say he's attractive.
He's not. Yeah, I wouldn't say
in his prime. Whatever. I'm not gonna. Obviously, he's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
95 right now. That's not true, but the point is, like, okay, so it's him and Megan Ryan. They were often paired.
Right.
And I guess the target audience of those movies are men who wanted to have sex with Meg Ryan because they could project on the Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Right.
But the women are like, oh my God, Tom Hanks.
There are women who are like into Tom Hanks. It just goes to show you that women are fucking insane.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the what I've long defined as the I don't know, the distinction between men and women is that men sexually will do anything and anyone, just no matter what it is. You could find a man that that is game, but with women are traditionally a little more selective. So if you were to tell me that no woman has ever found Tom Hanks attractive, I would believe you.
Well, no, I mean it's just men are indiscriminate. Every man is indiscriminate for the most part, like to a degree, and so you'll find people on both ends of the spectrum where it's like even the guy with the highest standards will betray those standards fairly easily. Women, though, they kind of set. They have their standards set in stone, unless they're going through like some kind of relationship drama, and then they'll cheat with anyone. But there's a wider variety of them. I feel like, you know what I mean. Like every woman's like different in a weird way, in terms of like what they're looking for.
I suppose.
Like even among women, there's like women who are like, yeah, I really want to. There's like hot women who are like, yeah, I just want a guy who's like big and fat. You know.
I think this
and
is.
They're few and far between.
I was gonna say I think this is a rarity, whereas
it's a rarity, but it exists and it's bizarre.
Yeah, but you could go up to the average guy on the street and he'll be like, "Yeah, I've really been looking for somebody who lost their eye because I really want to stick it in there," or you know, whatever.
Oh yeah. There's dudes who like they just love disabled girls.
No, but there's every dude. Every dude has some weird thing he'll tell you about.
Oh yeah, sure. But no, but I think women are pretty similar. I mean, if you talk to women about like their weird, like a lot of women have weird fetishes that you're like,
obviously we're one race, the human race. You know, we're all people.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I generally agree with what you're saying, but I do think that there's women will surprise you in the weird shit they're into. That's all.
I've been surprised before. But I guess my argument is more one of statistics, numbers.
You're trying to red pill me. Is what you're doing.
Well, I mean, there's a reason you call it normal, right? Because it's a large percentage of people, the majority. And I think that the majority of women are normal, whereas the majority of men are just fucking degenerate.
I mean, yeah, when the primary demographic for sending people money for no reason is men. Yeah, pretty degenerate.
You could cite thousands of examples of the primary.
Yeah. It's like self-evident.
Yes, we find these truths to be self-evident. My word association. That's Constitution. Constitution.
Yeah, it's not even a joke. Oh man.
Goodness.
Wasn't there another movie that you wanted to talk about last week?
What the fuck did I fucking watch?
And I shut it down. I was like, no, we're done.
I watched Mr. Rogers, which we talked about. I watched Castaway, which we talked about. I'm going back to my Twitter, my personal secret Twitter that nobody at home will ever learn about. Forrest Gump?
It wasn't Forrest Gump, but we can talk about that.
I did watch. No, I watched that over the previous week. So, The Big Short. It had to have been The Big Short, but I don't really feel like talking about that.
Yeah, I think it is The Big Short. You don't feel like talking about.
Well, I could talk about The Big Short. It's a large short. So this was alongside Moneyball as that abject moron's favorite movies that I referenced a few weeks ago.
Oh, you didn't like The Big Short?
No. What I'm saying is that when I heard this guy's opinion, like, oh, Moneyball's one of my favorite movies, I'm like, you're a fucking retard.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And The Big Short was also on that list. So I went and I watched both of these. I had seen Moneyball way earlier, but I watched The Big Short. and it was actually a good movie. It was a competent movie.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's got flaws, I think. For one, Steve Carell.
Just his existence.
Well, I think he could turn in a good performance. I don't mind him. Just
Yeah.
I don't see red when I see him, but mostly because he's white. But
he's not an Indian.
right. But he has an accent in the film that is just so distracting.
Really? I don't remember it.
He's trying to do like a New York accent, and he's like you or me trying to do a New York accent.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it's a caricature. It's comical, and that was bad. The movies. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Do you remember the two guys that they have their own story? They're like maybe they're fresh out of college and they're young investors. They're like the third prong of this.
Only vaguely, because I watched it on a plane years ago.
Well, they would be censored out on the airplane version, but my gripe with them is that their story does not add anything to the proceedings. They
sure
really just reinforce what's going on. There's one minor thing that they add where they cover the press's reaction at the very end of the film, but that could have either been cut or handled by somebody else. And I get, obviously it's based on real events and these are based on real people, but the movie is like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
It's a long movie.
Yeah, and I don't mind the length. It was good enough that it just kind of felt brisk, but I still think you could have cut it down specifically with these guys. They weren't as interesting as the other two groups, which is Christian Bale and Steve Carell's group. Christian Bale, very, very enjoyable playing an autistic man.
Yeah. He's a great actor. Everything I've heard about him, though, makes him sound like a real cunt to work with.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't really think about that when I watch his movies. He's a good actor.
He should be nice to the groups.
I mean, yes, you should generally be nice.
He shouldn't be so mean.
Just because you say it like that doesn't make it a retarded statement.
Why is he so mean?
I have nothing really big to say about The Big Short.
You have anything short to say?
I mean, I haven't watched. I only watched it once, and it was years ago. So I got to actually rewatch it. But are you gonna watch the Dick Cheney film?
Probably if I can find it. It's not available on Netflix, but I am interested in it. Now, I will say that continuing on The Big Short, I found its need to quote explain things simply to be insulting to the audience.
Did it insist upon itself?
Come on. So what I mean is that it's like, okay, we're talking about these real estate market concepts, these stock market concepts, and there's no way that anybody in the audience can understand it. So we're gonna cut to a extended explanation for your little minds to possibly grasp what the hell is going on. Like they had Margot Robbie in a bathtub, sitting there explaining what part of the housing market.
Like looking directly at the camera.
Right, and it's like how low do you view your audience? And as somebody who views his audience incredibly low, I understand, but make the movie for other people. You know, have some fucking dignity.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, like, you do have to kind of reckon with the truth that most people don't even have the faintest idea of what the any market really works like.
No, and I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on this either, but you can have an organic explanation, perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Not something so explicit for the common man.
You, like, don't make it like a food analogy.
Yeah. Don't dress it up with an attractive actress naked in a bathtub because there's no way I could be interested in these details as they pertain to the movie. I just need my monkey brain activated to look at a fucking hot woman.
It's like that crude image of the point going over that guy's head, and he's just staring at it like, oh, naked woman.
Right. But that's the intention behind it. It's
totally it's like while we explain condescendingly what all this means. Here's a naked woman for all the idiots to pay attention to.
right, and
Just tune the rest out.
I'm really curious. I want to meet the idiot that was duped into watching The Big Short to begin with. Like, who's buying the ticket for this if they're that stupid? Like, oh boy,
Yeah.
I know I could go watch Batman or Tom Cruise setting off explosions, but I'm really into this 2.5-hour drama about houses.
The housing market.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can kind of see your point,
I don't know.
but
Obviously,
you gotta get you reach further than the demographic that's actually involved in the stock market.
maybe it was
'Cause
the most boorish production note of all time. It's like, oh, this explanation's great, but can we have a naked woman reading it?
100%. 100%. That's total. Like that was like a producer decision.
Yeah, let's get Margot Robbie. Now,
She is a hot woman.
I always pronounce her name as Margaret.
Like the Elden Ring character.
Yes. The Fell.
The Fell. Margaret the Fell.
The Fell. Now, Christian Bale, he was the one that had that, I think it was on the set of Terminator or something. Like, he blew up at
Yeah, he freaked out at like
Yeah.
a light or something.
Yeah, obviously just spurging out. But he
Yeah.
should be nicer.
Okay, all right. Listen, I want to talk about Forrest Gump.
Okay. I think I tweeted this. I don't know. Just a completely meaningless experience. I mean, I enjoyed the film well enough, but it had nothing behind it at all. And it's funny because obviously the main character is retarded, so I really could get into his shoes.
What do you say to someone who is like, oh, Forrest Gump, I loved that movie. You have to watch it.
I would say that they should rewatch it because there's a high possibility that the first time they watched it was 20 years ago and they were younger and not really
Equally as retarded as
and equally as
Forrest.
yeah, or maybe they rewatch it and like, oh, this is so good.
It is such a trite film.
Yeah, vapid is how I would describe it.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't
It's-
think every movie needs to have a message. You could write a simplistic movie, but the film doesn't really have a good story to lean on in the
No.
absence of a message.
No,
For-
it's really just this like bizarre like feel good movie about a retard.
At one point, Forrest, he's recounting his tales, and he says, "So I got to meet the president again," and I don't know if the film really grasped how intentionally funny or unintentionally funny that was to just sum up the pointlessness of the whole experience.
Mhm.
Where it's like, all right, this is fallen ass backwards into multiple presidencies and billions of dollars. Like, I think
Yeah, he's
him getting
Oh.
rich is such a plot device. He's like, oh, we invested in this company, so now I don't have to think about money no more. And
right,
it's,
right.
it's like, all right, I guess whatever. Let's let the rest of the film fucking happen.
the epitome of a Mary Sue,
And
basically.
yeah, and the film, like, I don't know, it flirts with the idea of having something going on where it's this, like, cyclical nature of Forrest's mother dying in bed, and then Jenny dies in the same bed, and she has a son with Forrest. Now, young Forrest sees his mother die, and then they're at the same bus stop at the beginning, and the bus driver's the same, but there's no meaning behind any of it.
No, there isn't. There's no theme there.
Right. It's like again a retard's view of what a movie should be.
Framing.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I saw that other movie repeat the same scenes over and over again, so guess we got to do that here.
Now, despite all this, what gets me is the backlash the film has received in recent years of its politics. People are very against the film's politics.
In what way?
In that they say it's I guess too conservative. And I mean, it certainly isn't a left-leaning film, but I don't think the film has enough ideas behind it to say anything politically.
No, not at all. Wait, do you know why people are saying that?
Specifically, no. But I imagine, the way it treats things like the Vietnam War, it's yeah. But I don't think it really has like an idealized view of the Vietnam War.
No,
it just has a simple
it's just
view
right.
of it.
It's just not showing people be like exploding.
Right. I mean, one character loses both of his legs and spirals into crippling depression until Forrest drags him out of it. I imagine it's people's critiques are about what's not there, how it glosses over things without exploring them, which I suppose
it does do.
Yeah, which I suppose is the same as my complaint about it being unsubstantial. But I would just rather it make any point rather than a specific point that agrees with me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right. Because at the end of the movie, we're left with, okay, so Forrest Gump is a special retard.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lucky, super powerful special retard.
He is super powerful.
So what is
the whole running thing?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and at that point, it officially crosses over into the realm of a fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
well, it is a fairy tale, but it's also like but
it lacks
fairy
a
tales
moral.
usually have exactly. Like if you're gonna make a film about like a mentally disabled man, like give us something to fucking chew on.
Right. Yeah. Jeez.
I 100% agree with you. I cannot stand the film.
I wouldn't say I can't stand it. I ultimately enjoyed it, but it's
Well, I enjoyed it when I watched it too, and then I sat back and thought about it, and I got really mad.
I mean, I still would say I enjoy it. It's just that I would not say it's a particularly great movie.
Now, you know it was based on a novel, right?
Yes, and a lot of things were changed.
And there's a sequel.
Yes, Gump and Co.
Right. Where Lieutenant Dan relapses into alcoholism.
Oh.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, it's the dark, gritty sequel.
If you go to the Wikipedia page, I think it's Larry King. It says like Larry King described it as like the funniest book he ever read.
Gump and Co.
Yeah.
Is Larry King dead yet?
I think so, isn't he?
Oh, good for him.
He looked dead for about 50 years.
Yeah, he was always some kind of lich.
Yeah.
Jeez. There was something else about that movie. I did want to praise Tom Hanks. I thought he did a good job. I don't know if that's a radical opinion or not. But, yeah, I think...
Probably not.
He played a good retard.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good performance.
Yeah. And good for him. He really earned that Oscar.
But, I feel like plenty of people can play a mentally handicapped person.
Many people just are mentally handicapped people.
Right. It just comes naturally.
Right. But no, he did a good job. I'm not gonna take away from him by saying anybody could do it. I'm a Tom Hanks stan these days.
Mm-hmm, I can tell.
I'm about to watch Captain Phillips. What is his
Oh
name?
God,
Is it the black guy?
I think that's it, right?
Probably, yeah. Captain something. And it's Bridge of Spies.
Oh God, oh my God, that came out when that came out in Japan
Uh-huh.
because it came out in 2015. I genuinely thought that was just like the dumb Japanese name for the movie. Because you know, like how like Fast and Furious is called like Sky Chase or something.
Wild Speed.
What the hell is Sky Chase? Is that?
You're thinking of Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, maybe. No. It's no Sky Mission or something, and I can't remember what series it is. Maybe Mission Impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But
something dumb
yeah.
like that.
So I thought Bridge of Spy because they call it Bridge of Spy.
Just the
because
one.
there's no plurals. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
So I thought that was just the dumb Japanese name, and then I go to America and I see people talking about it, and I'm like, no, that's the real name.
Oh God, that's a movie that I don't know why it exists. Like I can picture the whole movie in my head. There's like Tom Hanks in a suit. He's got glasses. He's like sitting around and he's got his sleeves rolled up and his tie loosened and maybe he's got a cigarette or a drink and he's just worried about something. And somebody else is there and they're like, oh, they're speaking Simlish to each other. And then he walks on the bridge and he's got like a fedora hat and a long coat. And it's like these gas lamps and the bridge is like wet from the rain that just subsided. And Tom Hanks he's walking across the bridge. And maybe there's another guy walking the other way across the bridge, and they stop and they look at each other, and then they continue walking, and then Tom Hanks does or does not go home to his family. That's probably the movie.
My mental image of the film is a bunch of spies, kind of like holding on to the next guy's like ankles, like monkeys in a barrel, and creating a bridge from like one side of a river to the other, and then the last guy gets to walk across the bridge, and he says, "We truly are the Bridge of Spies."
All right, how about this? How about Spy X Bridge?
Oh no. The X is silent.
Spy Bridge.
Spy Bridge.
But there's a lot of movies like that. There's a movie where Tom Hanks plays a pilot who has to take a plane down into a river because its engines are failing, and there's an investigation into that. And the whole movie is just investigating whether or not he was right to do so, and he was.
It's so boring.
So it's like, all right, there's Tom Hanks. Once again, he's in a suit and maybe a white shirt, and he's sitting in a courtroom. And the camera's slowly panning in on him zooming in on him as somebody's testifying against him, and it's like, oh, things aren't looking good for Tom Hanks.
I was gonna say I have a principle of not watching movies where like a vehicle is like a principal focal point.
Okay,
but that's not true because I watched Titanic. I watched that Denzel Washington movie where he's an alcoholic.
That has to be the same movie as this Tom Hanks joint. Like, obviously it's different because Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington are different people, but
well, yeah, it's essentially the same. But you have that added layer of the guy's an alcoholic and.
Well, I think Tom Hanks is an alcoholic in this movie.
Really?
He descends into alcoholism from the stress of the trial.
Oh no! Denzel Washington's an alcoholic from the start. That's why he, is barely able to land the plane.
I see. Oh, and that one isn't he like praised, and he's like dealing with the guilt of. Why did you watch this movie?
I honestly saw it in theaters. I don't remember.
Jesus. Now I saw The Manchurian Candidate in theaters.
I've never seen that.
I didn't vote for him, but I saw it.
Really cute.
Thank you.
Now, why do you have to be Manchurian?
That's just a foreign enough place that it sounds sinister to most Americans. Oh, no,
man.
Manchuria. Who knows what goes on there?
Those
So-
Orientals.
Such a fetid den of foreigners.
Fetid.
Fetid.
Such a gross word.
Yeah.
Fetid. And the worst thing is the cheese. Feta cheese.
Right. Very
Uh,
gross.
Speaking of word, no, I like the cheese, but wait.
Oh.
Speaking of word association,
Uh-huh.
all I can think of is fetid cheese.
Well, feta cheese is more like a blue cheese or a Gouda.
Gouda.
Is that funny to you? More of a bada, really.
Feta is delicious, though.
I just don't like cheese.
That's crazy, dude.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is that really a crazy opinion?
cheese is what rich people eat when they're having fancy dinner parties.
I thought that was the poor.
They eat the poor
Yeah.
from a certain point of view.
Right. Now the poor want to eat the rich.
Yeah.
Have
They'll
you,
never be able
have
to.
you ever heard of this? Eat the rich, they say.
Eat the rich. Yep.
That's
Yep,
what they
do
say. Eat the
that.
rich.
Mhm.
Rich Evans.
Mhm.
Speaking of word association.
the only the rich,
Right.
the most important rich.
Richie Rich. Which
Richie
is-
Rich's Christmas wish.
Great name for a character. What's his defining trait? He's rich. Oh, what's his name? Rich.
What's his last name?
Rich. That's a simpler time back when the comic book adaptations were Dennis the Menace and Richie Rich in the
Oh,
film
God.
industry. Now it's the Scarlet Wanda and
The Scarlet Letter.
yeah. Oh Lord.
Imagine like a cinematic universe of Sunday newspaper comics.
Like what is that one? Wendy? Not Wendy. It's like a short.
Wendy.
It's like a short girl.
He's very descriptive.
She's got like a bow and a helmet haircut.
No one reads this.
Would you look? If I said it, you'd be like, "Oh, I know what that is." Hold on. I am looking this up.
Time for our 10th discussion about newspaper comics.
Sunday Comics girl character. Surely this will turn up what I'm looking for. Why does it suggest anime to me? There's nothing anime about Sunday Comics.
Probably because Shonen Sunday.
You think so? I found it. Nancy. You know Nancy?
Nancy. Sunday Comics.
Nancy.
Oh yeah, I guess I do know this.
Yeah, exactly. Shut the fuck up. So you got Nancy, you got Dennis the Menace,
Dilbert.
Dilbert. Then they make the Boondocks movie, and there's a lot of backlash. Dune. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, just out in the real world, and they mentioned the movie Dune, and I just muttered Doonesbury under my breath, and just knew I had to go see a psychiatrist.
Who are you talking to about Dune?
I don't know, some guy. Dune v. Doonesbury.
I imagine he was talking about the new Dune.
Ah. With an
Right.
NU?
Yeah,
New Dune.
not the David Lynch Dune.
Which one do we like?
I mean, I don't hate either of them.
Now, I know you're a David Lynch stan.
I am. I thought the new one's a lot more it's a lot visually safer, but it actually follows the book pretty well. It's a good movie.
I feel you.
You hate sci-fi, huh?
Very, very much so. I just have trouble. I mean, I have a limited mind. If I can't fathom it in my world, I'm not interested.
Right.
That's why I turned off Toy Story in my Tom Hanks-a-thon. I just couldn't imagine such a thing. You know how it is.
You have to watch Toy Story 4 now.
I've seen Toy Story 4 in theaters.
Ew, really? Oof.
In Japanese theaters.
That's what you get for going on dates.
It was at that point that I learned I could eat an entire tub of Japanese popcorn.
Oh.
Like I'm just gonna say it. I'm selfish. I will eat an entire tub of popcorn, no matter who I'm with.
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm not gonna hold back.
Well, it's made to keep you eating.
Right. Once you pop, the fun don't stop. That's what's written on them.
It don't. Yeah.
Yeah. They think it do, but it don't. They think that fun stop, but it don't.
I don't. I just don't get popcorn anymore.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's not worth the calories?
Well, it's not, no.
Well, what is these days?
True, but popcorn especially, you're just eating butter. And then you
I don't
finish
even
it
put
and you're like,
butter
why
on
did I
mine.
do that? Ew!
What?
What are you, a 50-year-old woman?
Yeah, kinda. Look, there's...
I'm watching my calories, honey.
You're watching your calories! Don't
Yeah,
tell me.
but I know when to stop, trying to twist a food stuff into something it's not.
Does this happen often? That you begin to try twisting a foodstuff into something that's not, so you know when to stop?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, and not putting butter on popcorn is the point where it's like, why even bother?
This is like when you stopped making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches out of bagels. You're like, I'm not twisting this food stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, some of us have a little more respect for the game than you do.
Okay, I would say I have much more respect.
Yeah, you think so?
You can call yourself a fucking entrepreneur.
I do. But
But we do have the podcast
Yeah, right, and the Patreon.
and the Patreon
Right, and the coffee.
and the prostitution ring.
Right. All those children. Anyway, this week's question of the week comes from one John W. Pepper, who asks, Admirals, thank you for doing the show. I was curious, what is your opinion on the Roe versus Wade situation? I'm a little shook these days, but thank you for continuing to put out the show. It's some current events. I don't know if you're privy to this, but I had to do some research to answer John's question here. So, apparently, Roe was the pseudonym of an aging woman, whereas Wade was a man. And I think that in the one-on-one, Wade would have the advantage. He certainly had the reach. So I think that if they were to get into the ring together,
Right.
Wade would come out on top. Do you think this is a controversial opinion?
Well, it didn't used to be,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people are kind of viewing it through the lens of the current trans.
Okay.
You might call it a crusade, right? Where Roe could just as easily be a trans man.
Well,
right?
if you think Roe being a trans man has any effect on their ability in a fist fight, then I'm not going to do the show with somebody like that.
Yeah, well, I think mostly it's the issue is that if Roe were a trans man,
Okay.
and
Well,
Roe as a trans man,
is
what?
Roe a trans man or a trans woman?
well, trans man, right?
Okay.
Or was it a trans woman?
Well, Roe was a woman,
Roe was a woman.
right?
So
She
yeah,
was
so
assigned female at birth.
She was assigned female at birth.
Yes.
So then she would be a trans man.
Okay, you're right.
She transitioned into a man.
Yeah, okay. So if she
Right.
were a trans man, were she a trans man?
Well, that's the thing, and if that were the case, and despite all this, Wade would still, pound her to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue people are having with this is that flip that around. Okay. Let's say Wade is a trans woman, or Ro is a trans woman, and Wade is a woman, right? And basically, what you're saying is that a trans woman is stronger than a woman.
Well, I don't believe that.
Naturally. I mean, it's transphobic.
Well, look at the science.
Seriously. There's I would cite some papers right now, but I don't think, and you can tell me if you agree with me or not. I don't think we need to do the emotional labor to teach our audience. I don't think we're obligated to teach anyone.
No, but
I think they need to learn. They need to learn and do better. Yes, yeah. Send me a PayPal, and
Venmo.
I'll teach you about queerness.
I always considered you in my life the foremost authority on queerness.
Yeah, that's funny because I always thought you were.
Really? I guess we're just two peas in a pod.
You're a real queer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Queer as folk.
Ooh, well.
Yeah. I think I watched that once.
I can't be the only one who's put off by the strange acceptance of the word queer nowadays, right?
We retook it. We reclaimed it.
I really don't agree with that.
Well, you're just part of the old guard, bunch of dinosaurs.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a dinosaur. What kind of dinosaur would you be?
Definitely a stegosaurus.
I was gonna say, I would probably. Oh God. I would probably be not a raptor, but the bigger one.
A T-Rex?
No, there's more than like 4 dinosaurs, right?
What?
No, raptors are actually like the size of chickens.
Okay.
But there's a bigger one.
A
that
velociraptor.
The raptors from Jurassic. No. The velociraptors from Jurassic Park were actually based on a dinosaur that is not the velociraptor.
I see, but they were called velociraptors.
In Jurassic Park.
Ah.
But in real life, they're not.
Well, in real life, they're dead. You can call them whatever you want. I think a brontosaurus is another good one. Just, stay above all the petty arguing.
I wouldn't want to be a dinosaur that gets its shit kicked in by like a T-Rex,
So that'd be like a triceratops?
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy that.
Who are cool, by the way.
They are
cool. Stegosauruses they're awesome too. But
do you know that you're gonna hate this, by the way. There's an official name for the little spikes at the end of a stegosaurus's tail.
Oh God. Okay, what is it?
I have to look this up, but it exists, and
why am I gonna hate it?
I'll tell you why you're gonna hate it. It's called a thagomizer.
Thagomizer?
Yes.
Like
Gomizer. Not like it. It's not that they don't spend a lot of their money. It's it's from a Far Side comic.
Oh God.
Where one caveman is teaching the other men about the thagomizer. He says, "Oh, this is
right."
He's like a projection on a screen. He's pointing. This is the thagomizer, named after the late Thag, or whatever.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but that's been adopted as the official name.
Sounds like the name of a weapon for a game that was made in like the Doom engine or something.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Like it's like some kind of alien like staff or something.
Right,
just spikes at the end.
Disintegrates people, maybe. Oh, don't thagomize me.
No, don't put me in the thagomizer.
I don't want to be thagomized. Great stuff.
So yeah, so Wade wins, right?
Yeah, definitely in the heads up in the arena.
Yeah.
Wade's got it.
ways. So yeah, it's not even a question. So I don't know what people are really talking
We
about.
need our best power scalers on the job here to officially sort this one out. Then maybe Twitter can finally calm down. It's okay, guys. I scaled it. I saw somebody referred to as like a respected power scaler, or something equally ridiculous. And
A respected power scaler.
yeah, like that was their
in their Twitter bio.
well, somebody
Somebody referred to someone else.
yeah,
Ah,
which is hilarious, right? If anybody gives a shit about any of this.
right. Well, I mean, it's the internet, you know.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Deku415 said that Superman totally couldn't beat Goku. I guess that's just how it is.
Right. It's so stupid. Yeah, I know. I'm preaching to the choir.
Guy who spends
mean-
all his time just bashing action figures into each other.
Yeah, right. I mean, and why do that on the internet when you could do it in real life?
Exactly.
I honestly wish.
Okay. I got something for you after this, by the way.
Oh, okay. No, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was just gonna say that it's really tragic that as a child, you're so poor,
Mhm.
you know, by virtue of making no money, but you love bashing action figures together, and then as an adult, you can buy as many as you want, and you don't care anymore.
It's a tragedy of the commons. Really.
Hey, we've made this joke somewhere before.
You think? Well, anyway, check this out. I got an idea for a movie for you.
Okay.
Deranged serial killer whose only hobby is power scaling that kidnaps people and dresses them up in character cosplay and makes them fight it out to really discover who would win.
You were really happy about this.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad. It's not really power scaling, though, is it?
No, but I mean, it's like he's solving the
He's so crazy that he thinks it is.
well, he's solving the ones that he couldn't reach a consensus on.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's like who really would win, Spider-Man or the Flash? And it's just like two bloodied people waking up dressed as Spider-Man and the Flash, just like, let us go! What are you doing? And it's like, only one can leave.
Right, so one of them does get to survive.
Right. And maybe there's like a saw blade on the floor. I don't know. It's just Saw. I'm making Saw again.
Now the thing is, though, they would have to. He would want them to use their respective powers.
Right.
And if they don't, he gets mad.
Alright, so the Flash is like roller skates tied to his feet. There's a bunch of ropes hanging around for Spider-Man to use.
The roller skates with like jets on them.
Yeah.
And if they don't use their powers to their utmost ability, then they both die.
Yes. You must use your powers, otherwise it's not a fair fight. Then the movie ends with him beckoning some guy dressed as Goku to go Super Saiyan. He's like, I don't know what you mean.
He's got like a Nickelodeon goo contraption in the ceiling that like he just pours on the guy to make his hair blonde.
The power scaler. Dun, dun, dun.
Not bad. I'm getting into it.
There's plenty of good ideas out there. Anyway, Star Trek: Next Generation.
Well, you gotta plug the Well, first
oh,
of all,
yes.
you have to plug.
I forgot. We were concluding our question of the week segment. Somehow I got distracted. But if you're like John Pepper, JW Pepper, and you want us to answer your question on the question of the week segment, send an email to thereadierroom@gmail.com. It's with a capital T and two capital R's, or tweet at the Readier Room. Send us a DM, slide into our DMs, and we'll answer your question on our question of the week. Or you could even leave a YouTube comment.
All right, we are going to break here and be back.
Oh, we're breaking?
Of course we're breaking. We break every week now.
Well, you've broken me more than once a week. All right, we'll be back. And we're back. Fresh off the boat to talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yep, back from the old Chinese restaurant.
Back from the dead. That's the name of the restaurant.
Back from the future.
We have to go back from the future.
Now that's going to be the name of the reboot.
Back from the future.
Back from the future.
It's just a present day thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good.
Gotta save costs.
That's a good movie to make. Just a time traveler from the future appears in our time, and is just baffled by how different everything is, but we have no context for how it's different. He sits down at somebody's table. He's like, "What are these things?" "Oh, that's a coaster, sir." It's like, you still use coasters in this time, and everyone's scratching their head.
This feels almost Trek adjacent.
Why? Because it's poorly written.
He orders a hamburger and it's real meat.
Starts vomiting.
You've seen Back to the Future?
I've seen all three.
Have you seen Gremlins?
No.
Oh, never mind.
No. Pop quiz, what's the best Back to the Future movie?
First one.
Yeah, what's second best?
Second one.
Wrong.
Okay. Please.
Yeah. It's the
Granted,
same.
I never watched the third one.
The second movie is just too many beats from the first one repeated.
It's like the Force Awakens of the Back to the Future series.
The Force should have stayed asleep.
Now that's a review.
That's my Rotten Tomatoes blurb.
I guess the Force should have stayed asleep.
Rotten.
There's no way that's not already a thing.
It's an Armand White quote, maybe.
Yeah, right. Considering everyone loved that movie for some reason.
It's an Armand Hammer quote.
An Army Hammer quote.
Oh boy.
You know he goes by Army because his name sounds like Armand Hammer.
His name's Armand White.
Well, no. I'm talking about Army Hammer.
Who?
Army Hammer. He was the dude who, like, it was, I guess it was a couple years ago now. He got accused of, like, talking to women about how he, like, wanted to eat them or something.
He got accused of talking about it?
Yeah, I think he did. I think he, like, raped a chick too or something. I can't remember. He had, like, cannibal fetishes. I mean, he might have raped and killed a chick.
Well, one of those is worse than the other. And
He's a
the
celebrity.
answer might surprise you.
Which one is worse?
Oh, that's for another podcast. I'm Googling this now. The Fall of Armie Hammer. A family saga of sex, money, and betrayal. The title is loading. Alright.
But, okay. I just want to say, his parents literally named him Armand Hammer.
Was that around at the time?
Yeah, he was born in 86.
Oh.
Was that around at the time? Armand Hammer is like 100-year-old company.
It's an American institution. Armand Hammer. That's so fucking funny. Oh, Lord. That's the kind of name I would choose for a kid.
Yeah, I know. He's a good-looking dude, though.
Yeah, but it's a circle back around to the beginning of the podcast. It's the men and their degeneracies. Everyone's got something.
That's true. What's yours?
Oh, well, you know. So, today...
Sodomy.
Gamori.
Sounds like a Star Wars alien.
Two neighboring but feuding planets
Sodomy and Gomorrah.
Lord. Family.
Family.
It's an episode about family. So we called it Family.
It's about family.
It's about family.
Yeah. We got what do we got? We got Ron Moore writing.
mhm.
Always a nice thing. Les Landau returns to direct. We have a plethora of guest stars who most of whom have prolific acting careers by this point.
Only the best.
And I do want to mention Samantha Eggar, who she's a little old at this point, but she is hot as hell. And she was hot as hell. Like she looked like a Bond girl back in like her 20s.
Is that your standard for attractive women?
Well, now that I'm watching Bond.
Go on.
Yes.
Okay. Now that you're watching Bond, it's the only thing you can think about 24/7.
I thought the yes was implied. I mean, come on, she's beautiful. Is she not?
Not like breathtakingly so.
Hey, for an older woman, she's like in her 50s or 60s here.
I retained my breath.
All right.
But I suppose she looks younger than she is. She looks younger than she was.
And I guess my entire point is, she was really hot, like stunningly hot.
Based on her being attractive now in her 50s, she must have been stunningly hot in her 20s.
No, she was like
Okay.
like she's been acting for like her whole life.
So it's not the case.
She was in like every show that mattered.
It's not the case of some vampiric ritual. You're saying?
It's not. No.
I see.
And I do want to note that I want to go over a couple of these actors' crossovers over the years.
Okay. The Tangled
so
Web.
you have Jeremy Kemp, who plays Picard's brother Robert. Samantha Eggar, who plays his wife, and Georgia Brown, who plays Worf's quote mother, right? And they were all in the film adaptation of 7% Solution, 1976 film, which is based on a book, a Sherlock Holmes book, obviously not written by Doyle himself, but they all crossed over there. And then Samantha Eggar and Theodore, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Roosevelt?
No. When he was on set, I used to just call him, hey Theo, and he would just kind of like grunt and roll his eyes. I think it's Theodore Bikel, the guy who plays Worf's father.
Oh, Bickle.
So, is it Bickle?
It's Bickle.
Like the semen that you drink.
Yeah. That splurts all over you.
Yeah. So him and Picard's brother's wife were actually in an episode of Columbo together.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there is quite a web going on here. A lot of these actors have known each other for quite some time by this point.
6 degrees of Celsius.
I do. Yeah, you saved it. I just wanted to mention that like they're all pretty damn good for guest characters.
Yeah, they really had a chance to be very hokey, especially with the accents on Worf's parents.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that's like his father. That's his actual accent.
Okay, well that must be why it sounds so natural.
Right.
But especially within the Picard story, everybody involved, perhaps minus one, he delivers a great performance.
Who is the -1?
Well, you know, our special little guy.
Oh, right. right. I forgot. I don't really like count him as an actor.
I wouldn't call what he did acting.
Definitely not. But yeah, what'd you think of this episode?
That's a good question. I don't know why I'm not prepared to answer it.
Is that involved?
Well, it's. I guess I liked it.
Wow, you're that conflicted, huh?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I didn't. I found the Worf stuff, for example, to be more pleasant than anything else. More pleasant than actively good.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And the Picard stuff was good. I mean, that was obviously the best, most compelling part of the episode, but it, aside from Picard's storyline, everything else didn't really have a great direction to it.
Yeah.
For example, Wesley is described as already having come to terms with his father's death, and then he sees his father's message to him, and nothing really comes from that. Because, as described, he's already come to terms with it.
That bit was actually pulled from like a completely different script. Like it was a script that had like that scene in it, and that scene was just plucked from that script. So I imagine that the episode that was to become would have been a lot more involved with this kind of thing. I think the issue is that there is supposed to be initially the B plot, the A plot's Picard dealing with his trauma, and it took a lot of effort to get this episode made. I think just because for so long Star Trek has not been serialized, and here we are having 3 episodes that you need context for each one. So the B plot was initially going to be some kind of like sci-fi thing, like much more like hard sci-fi type thing, and we realized that, or the writers realized that it just wasn't going to work. Just like the content of like the A plot being Picard just kind of like hanging around on Earth and dealing with his trauma, and then like some weird like high intensity sci-fi plot just don't work together.
No.
So I think all of the content, obviously all of the content besides Picard was kind of cobbled together to try to make some kind of theme work.
It certainly feels like it, and the theme is so obvious that they just title the episode "Family."
Family, yeah.
And
it's not even really, and obviously you know this. That's not even really the theme of the episode either. It's just kind of it's an effort to make a coherent episode out of disparate stories that really don't connect to each other at all.
Only superficially do they relate.
Yes. Because they have to do with family.
Right. Very, very ham-fisted. I mean, to the point where, as you said, taking scenes from other episodes just to fill in time. It has the sense of of being a half-baked idea. This episode.
Definitely.
I wish they had the courage to have 40 minutes of Picard in France.
Yeah, I know. And it's not that episodes haven't done that before, just not had a B plot.
Right.
But I guess, it would have ended up being kind of claustrophobic, I think.
Yeah, I don't think so. More scenes in the vineyard.
just hanging around in the grape vineyard.
Yeah, plucking grapes. Picard he's forgotten his muscle memory of how to, cut the grapes off the vine, and he's got to relearn that while teaching it to his uncle nephew.
His uncle nephew.
There's
I honestly
a scene of them stomping the grapes, and Picard takes a comical fall,
and he's screaming. It gets posted to the Star Trek equivalent of YouTube, and he's very embarrassed.
No, Star Trek's a utopian future. That means there's no YouTube.
There's no social media at all.
Right.
Thankfully.
How do you feel about the logistics of how do I even describe this? Of French dying out, French accents dying out, but not English accents. Those have proliferated into France.
Yeah, I think about this often.
Actually. Do you?
I do. when it comes to Picard's character, of course, not like I'm not like
Not
lying in
apropos
bed.
of nothing.
Yeah, I don't wake up and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for French to die out. Can't wait for the English to invade France. Yeah, it's weird. It's obviously a complete oversight, and I don't know if this was ever like retconned in some way where they explained how the English like invaded France or something. Maybe it was during those race riots.
I think it's a cultural invasion.
I guess it might be. Maybe there's like a second Beatles.
This is the part of Trek that nobody ever writes about.
It is annoying. Because I mean, Picard could have easily just been British.
Right.
They could have just been like, okay, the French thing's out. Let's just make him British.
I think they had the name first. Jean-Luc Picard.
They did, yeah. They definitely did.
And everything else was secondary.
The name is good, but it's not really worth introducing all of these questions. Begging the question, if you will.
They beg a lot of questions. There's a lot of question begging.
Oh, they beg.
They beg. They beg.
They beg.
Oh, baby. When they beg. Yeah.
I really like the Worf stuff, to be honest.
I enjoyed it. Like, I described it as pleasant, but it was very, very far from compelling television.
Oh, I thought it was... Yeah, I mean, it was cute, though. Like, so...
Michael Dorn is cute.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
When he smiles when his parents... Like, he's all, like, worried or whatever,
right.
and then they beam in and he's actually happy to see them. Very cute.
Right, yeah. But the really compelling thing about Star Trek, as we come to find, and as the producers came to find while working on this, is that the compelling thing is the characters, really, to a degree. That's like half of what makes Star Trek compelling. You'd like to see how they react to things and stuff. And we know Worf is an orphan.
Orphan.
So we know he was orphan. We know he was raised by humans. So it's nice to see that come back around, and we get to see, or at least hear about Worf's early life and see how he interacts with the people who raised them and stuff, and it's nice. It's not exactly. You're right. It's not necessarily compelling, and it's not even. I wouldn't even call it like a character moment. It is to a degree sort of pointless, but it's a nice little bit of extra insight into the character's life, which is nice.
It certainly hasn't been touched upon before, so it's nice. And this stuff gets re-examined later. Worf brother is introduced much later on. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It has merit. It's just I hesitate to use the word interesting. Maybe compelling. It's just not compelling. It's fine, right?
Yeah,
makes your heart beat.
Yeah, usually I'm dead
until you hear mention of Worf.
When I see Michael Dorn smile, it starts beating again for a couple minutes. I keep framed pictures of Michael Dorn smiling, as Worf, of course, smiling, hung up on my wall, so I can look at them whenever I become an undead and I become a Dracula.
Oh, Lord. But very glad that they chose to explore Worf's parentage rather than I don't know, another Troy story.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, Majel was on vacation during the entire production of this episode. So,
do you think that was an accident? Do you think that those cruise tickets came from nowhere?
Now, this is a conspiracy theory, and we've been through this, but it may be true.
I'm just saying,
may be conspiracy fact.
There's often a lot going on behind the scenes. A dark hand sinisterly moving the pieces from beyond the curtain.
There was always talk of, in the production crew, a secret task force of anti-Majel agents.
Running interference.
Right.
Which is supremely necessary, especially in those days. Now, those guys got laid off by the time DS9 came around. Those results speak for themselves. One day she'll be dead.
She'll be dead.
Maybe she's already dead.
She's alive, I think.
Oh, fuck. She's just liable to show up anywhere, you know? You're watching just an unrelated movie or TV show. Ah, it's Majel! No!
No!
Get out!
We've talked about this, but I don't dislike Majel. I don't dislike the character.
What?
But she does end up in some horrible scripts.
Oh, she's awful. I mean, I guess if they could
she needs to be used more sparingly.
Yes, if they could use this character in moderation, there'd be no problem with her. But she shows up exclusively in episodes in which she is the prime focus.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
If she was just kind of around sometimes, that would be fine.
Like Guinan.
Like a Guinan, yeah.
Yeah.
But Guinan's a great character, so it's like
I kind of want the opposite, you know.
It's not really like Guinan, but yeah.
But the timeshare of Guinan.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's finally time to discuss the events of this episode in the order in which they happened.
Oh yeah, it is that time. You're right.
I think not the best part of the episode, but one of the best parts of the episode occurs right towards the beginning. I really enjoyed the conversation of Troy and Picard alluding to his ongoing recovery.
You did. My only note was that Marina is a really bad actress.
Yeah, but you have that note every week. Rightfully
it's
so.
It's definitely a different conversation than we've seen before between these two.
Yes.
Right?
And it is a case of Troy actually doing her job, which is in and of itself rare.
Impressive, yeah.
Yeah. But I found it to be pretty realistic in a lot of ways, of Picard dealing with trauma and everything that really comes along with that. How recovery isn't so cut and dry.
Yeah, and I mean it's really a testament to Michael Piller, really, who kind of pushed for this episode to even be made, because I can't see a season 4 after that after the Best of Both Worlds without having this episode where like we do explore that trauma.
Right. It's Imagine they just go back, like, Best of Both Worlds ends, next episode they're all fighting Romulans or whatever, and
Right.
Picard just has suffered no effects, negative or otherwise.
Well, that's what Gene wanted to do.
Right.
I was on Memory Alpha, as I want to do, to find your trivia question, and I found this quote that Michael said to Rick. He said, "How can you have a guy who's basically been raped be fine next week?"
So Michael Dorn said that?
No. Michael Piller.
Oh, I see.
Piller
Yes.
But Dorn. that would be something.
But it's absolutely right. We watch these shows for the characters. Sure, sci-fi stories are fine, but without the characters being so endearing, without us caring about them as much as we do, none of it works.
Which you can see very well in Voyager, right?
Yeah. I just wake up in the middle of the night with flashes of Harry Kim and Tom Paris in my head and just start screaming. Neelix. Oh, God. So
his aphrodisiac dinners.
The best forgotten script of all time. So with these characters, we want to see them recover. We're invested in their health, their well-being. What?
I don't know, the way you phrase that
Am I wrong?
Well, no, it's like, we want to see their arc for sure
Right.
played out.
Sure, if you want to use, fancy story terms. I won't stop you.
You's a city boy, huh? Well, you know what we do to city boys around here. Get your ass over here, boy.
And we get to see that for probably the first time ever in Star Trek.
Yeah. So it's really nice. You're right. Troyce is interesting about 6 times.
Troyce is being a bitch, really.
She is kind of being a cunt.
Interesting.
Hmm. She doesn't even, she has like no emotion behind it. She's just like interesting.
Right. And
Why would you ever say that? It's like, ugh.
it's somebody who presumably has never talked to a therapist in any capacity, and just using their image of one.
Right. It's like she's egging him on.
Right. She just wants to get hit.
Yeah. Picard just slaps her across. I said, "Shut up." That's another one for the open AI.
Yeah, I work out all of my violent tendencies through the open AI.
My erotic fan fiction between Crusher and myself really got me going.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I tried to write you something, but it ended up with some interesting gender choices.
I hate it when it does that.
You're all ready, you're kind of going at it full speed, and you get to the word him or his.
Wait a minute.
This isn't right. None of this is right.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. Yes, so Picard's saying he's going to France, back to his hometown.
One's own village.
Did you write that down?
Yeah, I mean, it's very evocative phrasing that stuck with me.
I suppose.
Tell me that Picard referring to his hometown as a village isn't quaint in the the 24th century?
I guess.
That all villages haven't been eradicated by the ever-growing expansion of big business?
Right. It literally it looks like exactly like it's looked for 300 years.
Right.
Which was kind of annoying to me, but whatever.
It's very idealized.
Yeah. It's very convenient. Right? But before he goes down, I think we cut to Riker and Worf in the meeting room.
Yes. Riker's only appearance in the episode.
Yeah. They're talking about some sci-fi mumbo jumbo or whatever.
Right. We have to realign those pylons. Or whatever.
Yeah, and Worf learns that his adoptive parents are coming aboard,
which he was not made aware of prior to this.
Right, and he and Riker, like, this conversation gets like heated really easily, like really quickly for some reason.
Yeah, Riker starts exerting his authority.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very strange.
I mean, I guess it's par for the course, but
I suppose
unnecessary.
I wasn't a fan.
No,
and it's especially with how, I don't know, enjoyable Worf ultimately is. He really likes his parents being there.
Yeah,
he loves them. So why did this have to become so aggressive on both sides? I don't know.
Aggression on both sides.
Both sides. I don't mean to both sides the Worf Riker debacle, but
is this something that people on Twitter say? Yeah,
this is where it's like two sides of a political issue. It's like, both sides are being ridiculous, and people say that it's both
you're
sides.
Both sidesing it.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a centrist, you're literally Hitler.
Well, that's true. Have you ever been to the enlightened centrism?
No, is that making fun of centrists or supporting them?
It's making fun of him.
Okay.
The idea being that the only way somebody could possibly have a centrist opinion is if they, A, are stupid, and B, also have a holier-than-thou attitude towards anybody who believes in something.
Well, to a degree,
politicized.
A fair amount of people hold centrist opinions because they are ignorant. But
I buy that.
But if we're talking about American politics, which usually we are because no one can ever shut the fuck up about American politics, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are basically the same thing.
Well, there you go. I could screenshot your words right now and go post it on Enlightened Centrism, and then somebody would post the comic where it's like, it's two people talking, and one of them says, "I just want the right to live," and someone else says, "I want to kill all brown people," and then somebody else saying, "These are literally the same thing."
Yep. I mean, in reality, the political parties themselves are the centrists.
Oh, you're the centrist.
No, you. You're the centrist.
I think Picard's a centrist.
Picard is a centrist. He's a dirty centrist.
Fucking centrist.
So yeah, Picard goes down to the planet.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise known as Earth.
You know, when he spent all this time up in space, it is just a planet, really.
That's true. It's a spinning blue marble.
It's kind of odd when you think about it, how much time they really do spend in space. Like, they're never like, they barely ever have any time spent like docked somewhere.
Yeah,
planet.
They all have their space legs.
They're space legs.
Yeah.
They basically just live in space like almost the entire year.
Like astronauts. Kind of quaint, isn't it, to refer to the crew of the Enterprise as astronauts? Yeah. Astronaut aesthetic is disgusting to me. How so?
Well, those big fat like diaper suits.
I don't know. I think
you know what I mean?
You ever see the this is a really oblique reference. You ever see the award for the MTV Music Awards?
Yeah.
It's like an astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like those kind of stylized astronauts where they're just kind of like...
maybe. I suppose.
Yeah.
There is something there, but we really need to focus on making our astronauts look cooler.
We got Elon Musk on the job.
Give them like Master Chief armor.
Yeah, give them like flames on the side of their suits.
Guy Fieri suits.
Nah, it's like light them on fire, literal flames.
Light them on fire and throw them into space.
Yeah. As they reach the oxygen poor atmosphere, the fire will burn out.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's just for the most
fun.
bitchin' launch of all time. That and the Challenger.
How can anything really compete?
Nothing can challenge it.
Nothing can. Yeah, so Picard's walking to his old family home.
And he's besieged by highwaymen.
He's besieged by... The most awkward scene of all time.
Yes.
We meet
Go on.
Rene Picard, his brother's son, played by David, who was I think genuinely mentally disabled. I remember Les telling Patrick, like by the dozenth time, David had mixed up the words nephew and uncle. He just told him like just roll with it and improvise, because it was like bashing your head against a wall trying to get this kid to remember any lines.
Do you think that's why Patrick seems so tired and disinterested in that scene?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he's disinterested in like every scene with this kid because it took forever to get anything out of him.
Who would be interested in this kid other than like pedophiles?
Not even a pedophile.
Wow, that's
like the biggest insult.
All right, not even
like,
a pedophile.
not even a pedophile would rape you.
That's something like a drunk parent just screams at their kid. Not even a pedophile wants you. Yeah.
It's a really good. That's you know what? I'm gonna drunkenly tell my kid that.
Go get him. And you can tell him to bring you more gruel. Bring me more gruel.
I mean, unfortunately, my children are all adults at this point, but
I'll invite him over. I guess the pedophile line wouldn't work.
no.
But, I mean, it is true. Pedophile wouldn't want them. They're grown up.
So yeah, Picard meets his brother's wife, who is extremely attractive.
Right.
Used to be, at least.
Which Picard says, "Oh, didn't you used to be extremely attractive?" That's one of the lines in the episode.
They're giving each other sex eyes the whole time.
Right.
Or at least she is.
I think you're projecting.
I was annoyed that they didn't have sex.
You were annoyed that this brotherly story of support didn't involve cuckolding.
I'm sure Patrick was equally as upset that he didn't have sex with her.
Well, as I often note, he's quite Shakespearean, as is cuckolding.
Hey, that's true. That's true. And we have quite an evocative scene of him going into the vineyard and his brother cutting grapes, and this is the first time they've seen each other in like at least 20 years, right?
Yeah, this is the scene that sparked 1,000 letters.
And yeah, and his brother just like barely acknowledges him,
right?
But yeah, so yeah, we do enter the crux of this episode, which is the relationship between Picard and his brother, and how that kind of informs Picard's entire life and view and all that stuff. But yeah, the letters, we got just a deluge.
Yeah, all from our female viewers, which were almost always the minority in the letter writing, but they all claim that they did not understand the relationship of Picard and his brother, which to me was, I don't know, pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's just for as emotionally insightful as women are supposed to be, there's some things they just won't understand ever.
Right.
Like Die Hard.
Die Hard, and how the best
Terminator
way
2.
to express some emotions is mud wrestling.
Which was Patrick's idea, by the way.
Yes.
Getting all dirty in the mud. He'd been really trying to get his mud play fetish into Trek for a while at that point. Speaking of letters, though.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Patrick he kept telling me that he wanted to get, quote, wet and messy. That's the phrase he kept he kept using.
Wet and messy. Jesus. Yeah. It was like a few people actually joined him too in the crew.
Right.
He got a few people
playing around like pigs in mud.
I mean, Jeff, the lighting guy.
Yeah.
He ended up hopelessly addicted to mud play for years after that, which was it was sad to see, really.
He kept asking me to show if he could show me his mud pies, and I'd be like, Jeff, I don't want to see your mud pies.
Yeah.
I told you last week. Just stop. Don't get mud on the lights. Was the whole thing.
He'd come in with like mud caked behind his ears, and you have to be like, have you been mudding again?
It put a whole new spin on the phrase "wet behind the ears."
Yeah. Speaking of letters, though, we got a lot of, as I mentioned last week, a lot of letters about O'Brien, right?
Yeah.
And thanks to that, we actually learned his rank this episode.
Chief
Petty Officer.
I have to ask for some. I'm an idiot. I don't understand this. Like what is an enlisted officer? What is, because they're like separate from the ranked officers, right?
So the ranked officers are the ones who have gone through Starfleet.
Okay.
An enlisted officer is someone who is basically pulled as a civilian to work on in Starfleet, but they're not like the ranked officers have gone through the academy.
Okay.
Right? So the enlisted ones are kind of just like, I guess you might say conscripted.
But they have more technical jobs that would need more specialized training than the academy.
Not even. They basically go from being a civilian immediately to working on like starships and stuff.
But what I mean is that it seems like O'Brien and Worf's father are both engineers of some sort. So they
sure.
It's my impression that they would have gone through like some kind of technical school as a civilian, and then join the military, be asked to join based on those skills.
Yeah, and maybe that's the case, but they're always going to be outranked by even low level.
Right.
Anyone who's been through Starfleet Academy basically and is working on the ship. So that's basically what it is.
Well, I now I know. But now, yeah, we learned his rank in this episode.
Yeah, we did. He's a Chief Petty Officer, right?
Right, that's why he always gets annoyed at small things.
Now, does he ever become a Master Chief?
Petty Officer?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he becomes Chief Engineer in Deep Space Nine, kind of same.
Wow, seriously?
Yeah.
How does he do that?
That's just what he is at the beginning of the show. They're like, we need an engineer. We need a chief engineer on this ship. O'Brien, you're on this show now.
That's bizarre.
But he's the head honcho.
I didn't know he was chief engineer.
Yeah, and he's always
That's
like,
crazy.
He's got like a crew that he's bossing around and.
Right.
Yeah. So
he's
moving up.
My only experience with DS9 is that episode of him as a clone. So.
You did watch that one.
The only thing I can think of with DS9 is people just treating O'Brien like shit.
I liked that episode.
It was a good episode.
But there's so many...
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, and there's so many episodes where O'Brien just gets shit on by life, by his crewmates, by enemy forces, just over and over again.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to watching it. It annoys me that they didn't upscale it. I mean, I know it takes a lot of work, but...
You'll get over it. The thing is that nobody really likes Deep Space Nine.
Right.
So they put no effort into it. I mean,
even TNG was pushing it.
Yeah, but I saw somebody was writing about what are they writing about? Something about Trek, and they're like, oh, some of the worst episodes from Star Trek. That includes Deep Space Nine and Voyager, as if like Deep Space Nine is anywhere near as bad as Voyager. I was personally offended, to say the least.
I might grab the DVDs for it because watching it on Netflix, the fidelity is just horrible.
Yeah, it does look bad.
So at least on DVD, it'll be like the best it can possibly look.
Right. On Netflix, any dark scene, you have all that artifacting.
Yeah, oh, it's so gross.
Yeah. I had to put up with it. It's just bad.
Anyway. Yeah, so we learn that his brother, obviously, he's standoffish with Picard. Doesn't seem to really like him. And he tells him, dinner's at 8. And Picard walks away.
Yeah, that's a really big part of, culture shock. A lot of Americans couldn't fathom eating dinner at 8 o'clock.
Right, yeah. Usually they're eating dinner at 4 and then second dinner at 8.
Right, it's like, well, what do you eat at 6? If you're eating dinner at 8, what do you eat at 6?
Right.
Then what do you eat at 6:30?
Wait, you aren't eating all day?
I just have some mushed up crackers put into my veins intravenously throughout the day.
We get a really nice matte painting as he walks away, too.
I knew you would talk about that.
It's the countryside, but you still have some little Star Trek spires in the background and stuff.
Everything else has changed, except this one little pocket.
Right. I was a little put off by how obviously it looked like a matte painting. Yeah. Sometimes they're very good at hiding it. Like they'll manage to like Mike Okuda would manage to kind of get like people walking in the background, like on the Klingon homeworld. They kind of add people walking between the archways, which is really impressive looking. Here it's just like really static. There might be like some blinking lights or whatever.
Yeah, it's not seamless.
It's still nice. Yeah, it's still nice. No, it's definitely not a food delivery service.
I'm just searching my mind to understand.
Seamless is a. Yeah, I don't
Is
think
it?
you have Seamless in Tokyo. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I've never seen this.
No, you never. Yeah. I think we cut back to Worf now, right?
Yes, and he's with his family. Or
Yeah,
he's receiving them.
Ooh. His father's a treat. I like the character. He's like, oh, I have all the starship schematics, and he's like, I want to see the entire ship. I thought that was kind of funny.
That was. I mean, you can imagine just a retired, dad just poring over
Right.
blueprints in his study at home. It's for no
Mhm.
real reason other than he's just some kind of degenerate.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I like that. One thing I'm not really super pleased with is the trying to create drama with this plot line, where it's like, oh, we have something we can't tell Worf, and then it's like nothing.
Yes, that is strange.
It's really dumb, really, really dumb.
Especially because the A plot had drama. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
not,
sure.
maybe not like cut to commercial drama, but drama,
It
real
should have
drama.
been like, Worf, I have space cancer or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, give us something.
Or if you're
Instead, it
not
was
really a
about
Klingon.
we gave you surgery.
We always we always wanted a Klingon son, but we couldn't. I was human. Oh, surgery.
Now that would be a fucking trip.
Worf grappling with his entire identity.
Yeah. What is a Klingon? Yeah, it ends up being about his excommunication, which I don't really buy his parents not being able to talk to him about.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I mean, it's a different culture, maybe, and they know
Yeah.
Worf doesn't really like to talk about anything.
Yeah,
Didn't
I guess.
bother me so much, but again, as I said at the onset of all this, it wasn't really compelling.
No, it's not really convincing to me either, but whatever. Yeah, so he's basically Worf's whole thing is he's showing his parents around the ship, and they're getting into mild hijinks by bothering everyone on the ship, I guess.
They interact with Geordi, and before that, O'Brien.
Mm-hmm. And then they talk to Guinan,
They talk to Guinan.
in probably one of the dumbest scenes ever, where she's like, "Why didn't you feed him prune juice?" Absolutely, just mind-numbingly stupid.
But it led to the cute moment where his mom's like, "Oh, I learned to make blood
Rokeg
goth.
blood pie.
Blood, there it is. But we didn't learn to eat it."
How do you make Rokeg blood pie?
Oh, at first you need a lot of blood. A lot of blood.
Actually, you know what? Let's Google this.
Okay, blood pie recipe. Recipe.
Okay, so in this recipe, they substitute pig's blood and pork fat,
Okay.
and they make it into just a normal pie.
Like a pot pie?
No, like an apple pie or a cherry pie. Boil some beetroots.
It's really exciting.
Okay, so the authentic version does not have a crust.
I see. So that's more of like a pumpkin pie.
A pumpkin pie has a crust.
Not on top.
Okay, but no, it doesn't have a crust at all.
Ah. So then it's more like a shepherd's pie.
Yes. So next time we decide to cook something, let's try to make some Rokeg blood pie. Huh?
All right, we can post pictures of it to the gram.
Yeah, the gram.
I love posting pictures of my food to the gram.
The Graham.
The Teddy Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so flashback down to France, right?
Yeah, back on Earth, back on the planet.
They're having din-dins.
Yeah. Is this before or after? This is before he talks to the hydroponics guy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. They're having
because
Hmm.
she mentions that Lewis wanted to talk to Picard.
Right. Wow, you remember his name.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Because I thought it was strangely like simple.
Not like
I guess Robert is also.
well, Robert.
Or Robert, sorry, Robert.
Louis.
Yeah, it's not Louis though, right? It's Lewis.
Right.
That's why I thought it was weird.
Hope someone got fired for that. But it quickly comes out that Picard's brother is not in support of this newfangled technology.
Yeah. He's I guess
A
it
traditionalist.
turns out, yeah, their father was very much, very staunchly anti-tech. I
He
guess
was a Luddite.
Yeah, essentially. I guess as a winery, right? That kind of makes sense. You want to keep the authentic flavor or whatever.
Right.
But we learned that he wouldn't let their mother get a replicator, much like Robert doesn't let his wife get one. Everything has to be authentic, which clashes with what's his name,
Picard?
Renee wanting to. Well, yeah, Picard, but also Renee wanting to be a starship captain in the future, and Patrick. Robert views Patrick as, obviously you can tell already that there's some kind of jealousy festering here, but he also sees Picard as kind of egging Renee on.
Right, kind of luring his son away from him.
Right. And
for what purpose? Who knows?
They start maybe a little bit of mud play. The conversation turns very tense at this point.
Yeah, it inevitably comes to like a you raise your kids the way you want and let me do the same.
Right. We just as an aside here, we have an extended scene here that is really fairly unknown because it only ended up on the Laserdisc, I think.
Which is a relic, an artifact.
Yeah. Right. So actually, that may have been Japan only.
I'll have to scrounge around some of the hard offs. Looking for my TNG laser discs.
Laserdiscs, yeah. There's this bit where he says, I think. So I wrote the quote down here. Give me a sec. I wrote the quote down. He says, "Father understood better than anybody else the danger of losing those values which we hold most precious." Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an immediate cut here where in between we inserted, and this was entirely a concession, and it was a compromise with Gene because he hated the script from the get-go. He didn't like this episode. So we threw this in here kind of to placate him. In the extended version on the Laserdisc, Robert looks directly at the camera and just starts quoting directly from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. And it's a good, extended 3-minute scene.
And Gene was happy with it, just to be clear.
He was. Thankfully, he was too delirious to watch the broadcast. So, it got cut.
But it lives on in the Laserdisc.
Yeah, in the land of the rising sun.
Right, I think that's on side B.
Laserdiscs are a trip.
Yeah, I mean, you need like a training regimen just to lift them.
I distinctly remember hauling from a hard off all of the special editions of Evangelion on Laserdisc.
Where are those now?
Walking them back home. They've been sold to someone else.
Sold off to a better home.
I was with someone who bought them and then didn't want to take them on the plane because they were too heavy, so we sold them to someone. But we had to haul them all the way back home, and they were real heavy.
How many were there?
6 in total, but they're special editions, so there's like a ton of extra material. So they're basically like big Laserdisc books.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was something.
You ever see a Laserdisc player?
Oh yeah.
Big boys.
They are big boys. You know, I think Laserdisc is the only place you can get the original Star Wars movies now.
The ones untouched by by human hands.
Yeah.
Well then.
Although I guess they did do DVD, but isn't Laserdisc is better than DVD, right?
I mean, define better. Like they'd win in a fight.
Higher fidelity.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Laserdisc.
Right?
I believe Laserdisc was only done in by how clumsy the size of everything is. Cumbersome.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so I think that's the best version of classic Star Wars you can get.
Well, I'll invest in Laserdisc players once Star Wars popularity picks back up.
I've always wanted a Laserdisc player, for God knows what reason. You know, speaking of weird media formats, I'm getting on a tangent here.
Are you going to go on about HD DVD again?
Not HD DVD, but the Sega Saturn has a module you can fit into the back that lets it play video CDs, which were a big format in Japan for a while.
Video CDs?
Yeah, video CDs of like films.
Huh.
And obviously it would be like multiple discs, like a VHS, like the Titanic VHS. You need multiple discs to get through a movie. But I'm interested. I'm interested in how these even look.
That's
probably like shit.
That's a part of the film watching experience I really miss. Getting up to change the disc.
Oh yeah, that was the most fun part.
That and rewinding.
Were you kind?
I was kind, but my family couldn't afford a VHS player that automatically rewound. I couldn't afford one. So I had to sit there every night and just rewind by hand before I returned the video. It was tough times.
You know, it's tough.
That's what I just said. I just said
was
it was tough.
with you.
Yeah.
It was tough.
It was tough. Tough love.
It was tough.
I mean, you put your finger in the spool and start ratcheting it, and the little plastic spikes in the spool just start cutting into you.
You couldn't even get a manual rewinder?
No. I was the manual rewinder.
One of those sticks with like a little star shape at the end?
Believe me, I pined for one of those every night. When I watched Ben-Hur, I couldn't use my hands for the next week.
That's how like a sassy black woman says she's been somewhere before. Oh, I've been her.
It's a very long movie, you see. Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur.
They've been her.
Oh, I've been her. Oh, I've been her before.
So we come back from commercial after the dinner scene. And is this with the hydroponics guy?
Yeah, we get some Lewis action.
Right, there's some heavy-handed editing of the script here. They threw in the line that Picard reaches for the future while his brother reaches for the past. Out of the fear that very few members of the audience would understand the subtle motivations of the primary characters of the episode. And it did its job. It describes what's going on.
It's another concession we have to make for our general audience.
Right.
Much like The Big Short.
Yes. This family began a cinematic trend that flowed all the way through to the making of The Big Short.
Now, what we should have done for the Blu-ray release is have Margot Robbie sit in a bathtub
and explain
the Picard family to us.
And Renee, well, he's just an idiot.
He has a thin upper lip.
He's got a berries and cream haircut.
Berries and cream haircut. Does he?
Maybe, I don't know. Coconut head?
Yeah, we discussed this off mic, but I was very annoyed by that line.
Oh, the reaching for the past, the future?
Yeah.
It's quite insulting, isn't it?
It really is.
100%. 100p.
100p.
I think it's fucking
him.
garbage, to be honest.
God, it's like if someone who's watching the episode needs to be told that, they're probably like drooling and like don't blink.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like sitting there, like not even absorbing anything.
They're probably too dumb to understand what reaches for the future or the past even means.
Yeah, right. But you know, studio mandates and all that.
Network television.
Now, the really terrible thing is that this is still smarter than new Star Trek.
Yes, well, it's not a space battle with quips. Now, the whole point of this is that this guy presents an alternative career path for Picard. He's like, come work on this hydroponics project.
Yeah, sure.
And Picard...
Oh, no, this isn't hydroponics.
Oh, whatever. It's like...
He did do hydroponics.
It's the Atlantis project, right? They're like making a new continent?
Yeah, they're trying to raise the floor.
I'm trying to raise the floor of podcasting.
Feel free to insert that image of the fat nerd with glasses saying "actually."
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is what they're doing, and yes,
Picard
for some reason spends his free time reading about this dumb shit.
Well, it's he's paying tribute to Lewis, who he somewhat knows, somewhat respects.
Yeah, they were friends in school or whatever, right?
They were best buddies.
Yeah, they were BFFs.
Right. Biffles.
Oh, you my biffle.
You ever played biffle ball?
That's not a real thing.
Yeah, you caught me.
It's like Scooby Doo.
Go on. How's it like Scooby Doo?
Except instead of R, he
it's W. Yeah. Good Scooby Doo reference.
Thanks.
Then my memory is foggy after this.
Yeah. So Picard starts talking, very, very fervently about this project, and any experience he has that relates to the problems that Lewis is having. And Lewis is very excited, and he says, we really need someone to take charge of this, and you're the perfect man. And Picard says he'll look at the data or whatever.
Which is strange, because Data is just not in this episode at all.
That's true. He's not.
Brent was not happy about that.
Yeah, it was lack of communication, I think, right?
Right. Well, once the episode had wrapped, Brent went up to, I think it was Rick, just kind of like grabbed him by the shirt and said, if you ever do another episode without me, without Data, I walk. I'm out of here.
Right.
Which birthed the Data rule into us all.
The Data rule. Yeah. You must have, this such and such amount of data per episode, right?
Otherwise, Brent's out. He walks.
Yeah. And I mean, the tragic thing is, I think the producers were kind of, well intentioned here. They were trying to give him some time off,
right?
Because Brent, he's not actually an android in real life. So the whole process of hacking into the Borg subsystems last episode was just so mentally draining. I mean, he could barely stay awake for more than a few hours at a time.
But I guess he's just such a workhorse, that Brent Spiner.
Yeah, I don't think he was looking for any pity.
certainly not a pity party.
No. Which we did have planned.
Right, we
And
bought
then- and-
balloons
and
and
then-
everything.
Yeah, and then, that happened, and, we had to call it off.
Right, and after that, nobody was extending olive branches to Brent.
No. Branches to Brent.
Sounds like a dust to dust takeoff.
It sounds like a shitty play.
Brent
Like
Spiner
a-
seems like somebody who would be involved in a lot of shitty plays.
Like a musical about gay people.
Hell yeah.
Or like an African American kid who gets shot or something.
Branches to Brent.
Yeah.
If yes, but no, I don't think many African American kids would be named Brent.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe Bront.
Bront. Bront O apostrophe Saurus.
It's just about dinosaurs now. All right, here are branches to Bront. It's this brontosaurus that is either his neck is too short or he's lame. His legs don't work and he can't reach the branches. And the other brontosaurus is all they reject him, and then he goes on some kind of journey, and then they like him, and then they give him his branches or whatever.
Oh my god, it's beautiful.
Branches to Bront. It's a Pixar film.
Our new off-Broadway play. Oh yeah, I guess it could be a Pixar film, huh?
Well, it could be an off-Broadway where like the actors are wearing like big costume necks with silly dinosaur heads on top.
Yeah.
Their
It's
faces
like the
peeking
Lion
out.
King.
Yeah. And then Bront just has his own human neck
Right.
because he can't reach the branches.
He's just a dude. Bront is a human adopted by a Brontosaurus family.
Okay, and the brontosaurus, we must get branches for Bront, and they go and like the only branch Bront can eat is this fruit tree in the middle of a volcano, thousands of miles away. We have to go on a journey for
Guarded
Bront.
by T-Rexes.
Yes, and like only one of them makes it back. Bront's dead because he took so long. It's a tragedy.
Bront's dinosaur love interest is like crying over his dead body.
It's Terry, the pterodactyl.
Harry the pterodactyl.
Oh, Bront.
Just screaming, just screeching. It doesn't speak English because it's not the same species.
Oh god. Jeez.
No, enough of that tomfoolery.
Yeah. Can't have too much fun.
No.
So
This is a Star Trek podcast.
that's right. This isn't the orb. You know what we're doing here.
We would never sink that low.
No. It's not the captain's chair.
Certainly not. Don't even mention that.
What's your least favorite Star Trek podcast?
You think I know Star Trek podcasts?
My least favorite is To Boldly Go. Because
There definitely is one.
Their whole gimmick of recording the podcast while on a trip to somewhere just really makes it unlistenable. You got like traffic noises and passersby.
Yeah. Well, they're basically talking on like speakerphone the entire time.
Right. I think they're using some kind of walkie-talkie based on the fact that they're walking and talking at the same time.
Yeah, right. That is the only way you can walk and talk is with a walkie-talkie.
That's right. Well, you become a walkie-talkie if you do those two things at the same time. Which right now we're sitting talkies.
Right. Right. And if you're watching a film with sound, that's just a talkie.
Yes. Now, if the picture moves, that's a movie talkie.
Talkie. But you yourself can never become a movie talkie.
No, while you're more of a city watchy while the film is going on. If you know what I mean.
And then when the film is over,
You hear a Levy complaining.
well, but first you're a standy clappy.
That's true. It all depends on where you're watching the film.
Yeah, if you're in America.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. So next, Wesley, maybe?
Yeah, I guess.
Like, there's this one scene of Crusher opening Jack's casket or whatever. And,
I actually like stopped paying attention for this entire scene.
When there were no men on the screen, you just blacked out.
Yeah. And the women aren't naked and kissing. Yeah.
Right. They're not wrestling in mud either.
They're not doing some like a terrible workout in leotards.
Yes, it's basically the same scene as the one you just referenced. What we're treated to here, but Troy is talking to Beverly, and Beverly's talking about Jack, and Troy's like, interesting, and that's it. And then later on, Wesley gets to watch a hollow message from his father, which lasts for about a minute, and then the scene ends.
I have to say, Jack Crusher, he was played by Doug Wirt.
Mm-hmm.
The casting guys really got a dude who like his inflections and like the way he spoke was exactly like Will.
Well, I mean, that could have been intentional on the actor's part.
Oh yeah, I guess maybe. But was it not?
Yeah, it's very easy to buy their relation.
Yeah, which, I mean, you brought this up at the beginning, but this is kind of like, okay.
Nothing becomes
Whatever.
of it because Wesley doesn't have any development.
He has zero emotion.
Right. And again, in the earlier scene, Crusher says that Wesley has already come to terms with his father's death. So,
right.
ostensibly, there's nothing here to explore, and that's only proven by the scene itself.
And that's the thing. The only emotion you get out of the scene is what you project onto it.
Right.
So, it's like, you can glean emotion from this scene. I mean, obviously, it would be an emotional event for someone who's lost their father to see him standing right in front of him and act like he's still going to be alive. You know what I mean? But none of that is actually portrayed, in Wesley's reaction at all, or really the framing of it. It just kind of happens. Now, speaking of projecting, we got this really touching piece of mail. You remember this?
Yes.
From he was a young expecting father who tragically he was planning to commit suicide before his child was born. Like really, really heavy stuff. And anyway, he sent in his letter that he'd watched this episode and he cited this scene in particular. And he said he was so taken aback by the wave of emotion that washed over him that he vowed to kill himself even sooner.
We all shed a tear reading that letter.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, it's crazy just how what we did affected people so deeply.
Trek's an emotional show. It's not the cold, hard sci-fi of Star Trek, but it's very emotional, like Star Trek.
It's it's not lost in space.
No, we know where it is.
Not it's not what's that show with the Cylons?
Oh, why don't I know this? Is that Battlestar Galactica?
It's not Battlestar Galactica.
It's not Farscape.
No, it's certainly no Farscape.
Or is that the net browser? What am I thinking of?
No, you're right, Farscape. You're thinking about Netscape.
I see.
It's not Stargate.
SG-1.
It's not Stargate Atlantis.
Oh, there were multiple Stargates.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
Stargate, I've never really liked the aesthetic of it. It's very like military, which turns me off immediately.
Oh, Starfleet's a military.
Yeah, but they don't look it. You know what I mean?
What do you want them to look like? Civilians?
Stargate's like too contemporary in its
Guns.
setting, costumes and stuff.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
There's no romance there. There's no, I don't know, imagination. There's like a tall black guy with a silly forehead. I don't know.
Cisco? Worf?
Does Cisco have a silly forehead?
Well, I mean, it's got wrinkles from his stress.
He does have a very tough job.
He does. Being first the commander and then the captain of the space station.
The captain of a space station.
Yeah, I think they promoted him to captain just... It had to have been just James Avery getting annoyed.
Yeah, I want to be a captain.
Why does Patrick Stewart get to be a captain?
Right.
It's a whole episode where he gets promoted. Wasn't very good.
Is there like a medal ceremony?
There is. All the characters stand around and they clap.
Yep.
You did it, Captain. You're the captain. Please, captain us on our journey home.
Dax comes up and starts filleting him.
Jadzia Dax or Esri Dax?
Whichever one exists at that point.
That would be Jadzia.
I don't even know what they are.
They're Dax.
They are Dax.
They are wildly different in terms of attractiveness.
The first one's better, right?
Wrong.
Okay. Well, that's good. You end on a high note.
You do. But it's funny because apparently the fallout between the old actress and the show was so severe that in the final episode, any like flashbacks, they couldn't use any footage of her while flashbacking on all the other characters.
Yeah, what was the deal with that? I remember reading about it, but like very briefly.
I don't know exactly what it was. I didn't work on Deep Space Nine, but I think it was money. Must have been money. And in leaving, she didn't grant them any permission to use her likeness or, the old footage.
You would think they would have like nailed that down before they hired her.
You would think so. But this was back in the day. Period. This was back in the day.
It was back in the day. Back in the ancient 90s.
I can't even fathom a time that long ago.
I know.
So Wesley says bye to his dad. He's like, all right, well, bye, I guess.
And that's the end of his involvement in this episode.
Right. And then it goes, this is where the mud fight happens?
Yes. Robert sits down at the table while I keep wanting to say Patrick, while Picard is drinking wine, and he starts to like instigate. He's like, "What happened to you up there? I know they tickled your anus and
they raped
made you feel like a gay little bitch boy." And Picard walks away, and Robert keeps going and going and going, and he's like, "You were always the favorite child," and all that stuff, and Picard just fucking punches him right in the face.
Yep, and then they go down into the mud.
And they start rolling.
We had to shoot this shot very deliberately so as to not catch any glimpses of Patrick's, him showing.
Right. Thankfully, it was not in the Starfleet uniform, so it's a little bit easier.
That would have been nigh impossible.
But yeah, they get all messy wessy.
Yeah, and they ultimately start bonding with each other. They break down laughing.
Feels a little unearned.
I don't know. They should have had more time dedicated to it, but the idea that they have a disagreement that turns to a fight that turns to reconciliation seems realistic to me. Yeah,
it's natural, but there's something about like how it like flips on like a switch.
Yeah, more time would have been good.
Yeah, I think it's a little abrupt, but yeah, I mean it's the natural progression, and then Picard actually has a breakdown.
Yeah, progresses further to him crying.
Yeah,
Finally coming to terms with what happened, which was set up at the beginning of the episode in his talk with Troy, where he's insisting that he's fine. Troy is probing because she knows he's not, and it needed this to come out for
right,
for that to finally move past that.
right. So yeah, I mean, good scene, good
Yeah.
stuff. I like that.
Certainly the highlight of the episode, and
Yeah.
this whole story is the highlight of the episode.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to see someone acting like a human being.
For once.
So Robert's kind of just like, yeah, well, I mean, you're gonna have to live with it.
And Picard's like, I guess I will.
Which is like, I mean, it's the only response you can really give.
Hey, he also gives him some alcohol, which is the best thing a brother could do.
Yep. They go back home, and they drink and they sing, and then
They have a really silly moment when Robert's wife walks in, and like
Robert's wife comes in.
he was we were
She says, did my little baby make another messy Wessie?
Once again we had to frame the upper half of Patrick.
But yeah, there's a little silly quirky scene there.
Now I know it's a messy, but why does it have to be Wessie?
Well, you know, it's you got to rhyme it somehow.
It's true. It's a real part of the play. And what's the conclusion of Worf's bit?
Oh, his parents visit him in his room, and he's like, "When I heard you were coming, I didn't know if I wanted you to come." And then he sits down and he says, "Oh, I'm glad you're here, though." And then they start talking about like how kind of distraught they were about his excommunication from the Klingon homeworld, and how they don't really get it, but how they're always here for him. And there's like a little back and forth, right? And then he eventually accepts it, and then they hug.
I like the hugging.
The hugging.
I think that was the name of one of the episodes, the hugging.
Yeah, it was all right.
So I guess it's the end of the episode.
Yeah, well, so Picard eventually decides that he
goes back to the fucking starship, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right. This is like the third fake out of like, is Picard leaving?
yeah, really in successive episodes. It's like, oh, is he gonna be a Borg? Is he gonna be a hydroponics expert in France? Real cliffhanger material.
The show just transitions to a show about Picard working to raise the seafloor.
That's this season's arc.
Yep. I've done it.
A new Atlantis for a new century.
And then he becomes a Borg. Rules over Atlantis.
I am Locutus of Atlantis.
Yeah, so he goes back. He, crosses paths with Worf's parents. There's a cute little scene there.
And
That's it, right?
Yeah. Solid 3 saucer sets.
3? I was gonna go maybe 3.5.
Hey, you can do that. I won't stop you. I really was left wanting by the amount of time paid to the B plots that left the A plot underdeveloped.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the A plot was a million times more interesting for sure. And we can definitely both agree that the Wesley stuff was completely unnecessary.
Yeah. And to be honest, the Worf
And-
stuff also could have been further developed. That's not a bad idea to spend time on, but there's better versions of this episode out there in other universes.
Like we talked about, the attempt to insert drama into the Worf plot and then have it come out so flaccid
Yeah,
just makes it feel like, what's the point?
I just like seeing Michael Dorn smile.
But yeah. But again, we had an array of pretty good actors, so it was nice to see actual acting.
Yeah,
I could say that at least.
a lot of competence in this episode.
Yeah. So even in the more boring scenes, I think there's something to like.
I think it's a worthy come down from the last two episodes.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure if this was part of the movie showing or not.
I'm gonna say no.
You could just have like a theater full of people just all sitting there. Ah, a highwayman.
I mean, if you did want to cut this into a movie, just take all the Picard stuff and then get rid of the other stuff.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I do. But I don't think any effort went into adapting those for the screen.
No, definitely not.
They probably still had like a 15-second commercial break cut to black.
They had the music sting.
Yeah.
Fire.
To be continued credits.
Yeah. All right. What do I have for you today?
Nothing?
No, I have something.
Okay.
Hold on. So there's a cut scene. In
A cutscene?
like in a video game.
Yeah.
There's a cut scene when Wesley's father is talking to him on the holodeck, and or is it cut?
Well, there's
Yeah, it was cut.
Okay.
So they're talking, and it basically it's an extended version of this scene, and Wesley's father starts talking about their ancestors, okay, and he mentions one ancestor who fought in a particular war, okay. My question is, what war is it, and which side was he on?
Good lord. Is it a real war?
It's a real war. Yeah. I would ask if it wasn't.
Well, God forbid.
You can definitely deduce this both in terms of what war it is and why I would even ask what side it's on.
Okay, this is the 90s, maybe the 80s.
No, it's like an ancestor.
No, I know. But
Oh,
they
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
write
so
about
it's
like the
filmed in
Vietnam War.
Sure.
I don't want to say the Revolutionary War because that's too dumb. But this has to be dumb. It would never be like
It's definitely yeah. You're not going to get anything really creative.
right. The Allied side of World War II.
No.
Fuck these the Central Powers in World War One.
Nope. You got one more.
Well, I'm an American. Those are the only wars I know. It's not the Civil War, is it? It's not the North of the Civil War.
It's not the North of the Civil War.
It's the South.
It's the Confederacy.
What?
Wesley's ancestor fought for the Confederacy.
That's such a weird thing to write in. I mean, I guess the political climate was different at the time, but
Yeah,
still.
back then it was okay to do that.
That's hilarious.
I also came across this very humorously written bullet point on Memory Alpha when I was looking for this trivia
Mhm.
that I want to read to you.
Please.
Brent Spiner parentheses data, does not appear, by the way, is linked. There's a hot link and does not appear.
Can I just throw in real quick? I was reading Wikipedia the other day, and they had a list of colors that was mentioned in a different article, and they were all hot linked to that colors article. So if you didn't know what blue was, you could click on it.
I'm glad that's what you do in your free time. You're like, I want to read about colors.
Anyway, continue. Data.
Ren Spiner, parentheses data, does not appear in this episode, the only one of the entire series in which he is absent, though Spiner more than makes up for it in the following episode, in which Data has a family reunion of his own.
Some editorializing going on here.
He more than makes up for it, huh? Is that an encyclopedic fact?
I can't stand that. And there's nobody around to keep these guys in check.
No. I do also want to note that it says here, the Tokyo Pop manga Boukenshin had a story titled Loyalty set during this episode, as the comic's stardate matches the one given for this episode.
Does that comic involve any of the characters of this episode?
When Starfleet Command expresses their concern over Picard's brush with the Borg, Commander Will Riker will have his devotion to the captain put to the ultimate test, possibly at the cost of his own career, for the 1000th time. First Officer's personal log, stardate 44012.3. Having limped back to Earth after our encounter with the Borg, the Enterprise has begun its repairs at Earth Station McKinley. I will be supervising the refit while Captain Picard takes a well-deserved shore leave.
So it's a Riker
While the damage to the Enterprise can be repaired easily, I can't help but wonder if the same can be said of our captain. I'm sure many are wondering if Captain Picard is fully recovered from his assimilation by the Borg, and are asking the question, have we seen the last of Locutus?
Oh,
I believe we have, but only time will tell. What?
It's got to be just like Riker's talking to some higher ups. It's like, oh, Captain Picard's not fit to be Captain Picard, and
Right. That sounds very interesting.
Riker's like, I believe in the captain, and like, what about this evidence that shows his brain scans are that of a computer's? And Riker like has to go into the tank for a while to think about this. He's like, I trust Captain Picard. And so they're like, okay, well, I guess it's good enough for us. And then the comic.
God, I hate Star Trek.
Yeah, very much so. So that'll do it, I guess. Next week we're gonna talk about an episode in which Data more than makes up for his
his absence.
His absence in this episode with a family reunion of his own. For now, I want to take some time to thank our sponsors, it's Denny's and the Pep Boys. Denny's, of course, where you can buy the moons over my hammy, and the Pep Boys is the home of the 15-minute oil change. If at either of these establishments you drop the word Readier to your serviceman or cashier, they'll give you a 15% discount on whatever it is that you are doing there. So until the Data family reunion, I'm Mitchell Mells for Brandon Hobbs. Everybody out there in TV land, please stay ready.
The troublesome little man-child.
I stand before you defrocked, condemned to be a member of this lowest of species.
Thank you, Ensign. Engage.
Do you consider yourself superior to us?
Should have told him to mind his own damn business.
But I stroked the beard thusly. Do I not appear more intellectual?
Computer, freeze program.
Have you never dreamed of climbing inside the bottle?